So, hello there, Rosario, and everybody else. Okay, so
I can't hear you.
Can anybody hear me? Hi, Sonia, can you hear me? And Ankel, how are you? Can you hear me? Let's try this again. Can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me? Sure, my microphone is on. No. Yeah, coming in. You can't hear me. How strange. Okay.
No.
Like this. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
excellent. That's good. Let me look in. And that should be a little bit better. Right, can you hear me now? Yes?
Yes.
Good. Ah, right. And I can hear you too. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So, so that's not going to look very good. But anyway, we're already recording this. So this is the program which is called Teach USA. Okay, so there are two ways to go and teach in the United States. First of all, my name's Joshua, and I work for a company called Baker Street. And in Spain, we are one of the agencies who organizes the program, which is called Teach in the USA. So there are two ways of going to teach in the USA if you're from Spain. One is the government program, which places teachers in different countries. This is not ours. Ours is a private program. And our private program is completely licensed and authorized by the government of the United States. And it's what we call a J1 teaching program, or a J1 visa program. That means that the people who are accepted onto our program can have a legal visa which allows them to stay for 1 year in the United States, with the possibility of renewing up to a maximum of 5 years. So it's 1 to 5 years. The J1 visa program is a cultural exchange program. Please, if anybody has any problems understanding me in English, just tell me and I can speak to you in Spanish, but I prefer to do this in English. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the important things is that our program is free. The second one, obviously, that you will get more experience. The third is that you can live in the United States legally. And the fourth, obviously, that this opens your horizons and opportunities for the future. The Teach USA program is recognized by the United States Department of State, and that is the organization which gives the visas. So you would be working full-time in American school for up to 5 years with the same salary as an American teacher. This doesn't mean that you're going to be having the same salary as in Spain, because in the United States, you might be working with somebody who has 20 years of experience there,
Right.
but you might have less experience, in which case the basic salary is the same, but the American person might have more because might earn more money because they've been working for longer. But it is important, the American schools must offer you what we call the going rate. And the going rate means it must be the same for an American, a Spanish person, a Filipino person. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. Okay.
Right.
Now, we call this cultural exchange. Obviously, you're coming to teach Spanish, or you're coming to teach your own subject, which is fine. You can teach infant school, so that's infantil, primary school, So that's primaria. Or you can teach one of a particular subject. So you could teach geography or history or art or music at secondary school level. That would be absolutely fine. And in those cases, the most important thing at secondary level is that your degree from Spain or from your home country is the subject you want to teach. So my degree is in social sciences. But actually, right now, currently, I'm an English teacher. But if I went to the United States, I could only teach social sciences. I could not teach English because my degree is social sciences. So that's very important.
But
yes,
could we teach Spanish in high schools, secondary schools?
Then you could teach Spanish because that's your mother language. Yes.
Okay.
The benefits are that you would live and work in the USA legally for up to 5 years.
Sorry.
Paid on the same salary scale as US teachers, which is between $40,000 and $65,000 or $70,000. The average is 47 to 50. And also, if you're married or if you have children, they can also travel with you. So you would get a J1 visa and they would get a J2 visa, which means that they can work for the same time as you are in the United States and they can study at public schools. One of the important things for our program is that we don't charge you, okay? Let me answer your questions afterwards, please. Okay, you can write all your questions in the chat box and then I will answer them all afterwards. So there's no application fee, which means you can begin the process and you don't have to pay. There's no program fee and there's no job placement fee. Now, when or before you arrive in the United States, you will have to pay for your visa, for your flight, for your health insurance, and if you have any fees or translation of documents, you have to pay for those. So that's your responsibility. There is also a payment of 400 euros, which is a deposit. This deposit means that before you go to the United States, you will pay 400 euros, and after 6 months, this money is returned to you. Okay? That is to make sure that when the visa is issued, that you actually will go. So that's very important for us. GEC, Global Educational Concepts, is our partner in the United States, and they are based in Tennessee. And it's a very large company, actually, which has many different activities, but amongst them, they work with teachers. So it's one of the oldest companies in Tennessee, and it's designated as a J1 visa sponsor. This means that if you applied to a particular school by yourself in the United States to work, that school could probably not offer you the visa. But if you wanted to come with your offer, you could come to us and say, I have an offer at another school and we could offer you the visa. But you would have to pay. Okay, in that case, you would have to pay, and it would probably be the school who's going to pay GEC for your visa. But normally, GEC finds the school for you, and therefore it is free. GEC will also be with you looking after you the whole time that you're in the United States. If you want to teach in the United States, you need to have a university degree. You need to have 2 years full-time teaching experience. That's teaching experience which you must be able to demonstrate. And normally this is demonstrated by letters of reference. So if we look at a particular situation, you might be working for the Diputación de Álava in an educational program in schools. It might be an extra English language program. So if you can demonstrate that you were working in public schools for 2 years, then you can join the program. If you can only demonstrate that you were working in a private language academy, that would not be enough. So that is really up to you, okay? And it must be 2 years teaching experience, not including the practicas. You have to have advanced proficiency in English. So really, we won't ask you for a certificate, but you should have a C1 level minimum. And then you need to have your qualification, which would be your degree in mathematics or history or philosophy, or magisterio infantil. Those are absolutely fine. And those need to be approved by an agency in the United States. That's it. That process is very similar to what we call the homologación, but it's actually very, very quick. It's a very fast service. That will cost you about 140 euros approximately. But it's absolutely necessary, and it's very easy. And they will say, for example, this person, you know, Angel or Isabel has a degree in mathematics. She can teach mathematics in the United States. That's enough.
Yes, sorry. I have a law degree, yes.
All right.
Yeah, I have a law degree. I'm a lawyer, so would that be okay to teach
Absolutely.
there and in the US?
We would have to see what they would say you can teach. Could you teach social sciences, citizenship, so ethics? You know, so we would have to see what they say about that, because obviously there are not individual law degrees. Oh, sorry, they don't teach law at secondary school. But I'm sure they would allow you to teach other subjects.
All right.
Okay. And finally, depending on the state where you go, some individual states might ask for an extra qualification. And that normally comes when you arrive in the United States. Maybe they would say, well, we do want you to do an English exam, or we do want you to do a practical exam. Those exams are very easy normally, okay? And you can find information. It's normally a test format, and it's maybe talking about, you know, discipline or class dynamics, things like that. I've seen some of those exams and they're not difficult at all, okay? So it's normally just test. All right, so what would happen is that when you apply for a job, you would speak to a school, they will interview you, they will say, would you like to teach religion, or would you like to teach economics or mathematics to our students? If you say yes, then they will look in and just make sure that you are eligible in their state, Florida, Maryland, Texas, for example, just to make sure that you won't have any problems. Okay. Some of the exams, you might have to learn a little bit about the history of the state. Okay, and it's always very recent. So you might have to, when was the state of Louisiana founded? Or what was the original language in the state of Louisiana? You know, and then you'd have, oh, that was French. Okay, but you'd have a chance to prepare that beforehand. Okay. The positions that we have, of course, are in primary school, nursery school, maths, science, special education. So if you have experience with special children who have special needs, then you're very welcome as well. Language, Chinese, Spanish, English as a second language. You would have to be a native English speaker to teach English. So it's more likely that you could speak Spanish, that you could teach Spanish. Art and music also. And we won't discard anybody, but obviously, depending on your profile, the different schools will come to you, interview you, and tell them about the specific posts they've got available. So the program timeline works like this. We will look at this again afterwards, but the online applications begin on the 1st of February. And I would recommend that you're ready the first week in February to do that online process. We are going to accept a maximum of 40 candidates this year. The first year of the program, we had 80 candidates. And you know what happened? COVID. All right. So they didn't travel. That was very unfortunate.
Right.
So we had 80 candidates there. This year, we are going to wait till there's 40 candidates maximum from our agency. Applications close on the 14th of June. So you can continue to apply, but not after the 14th of June. And arrival dates in the United States would be in July and August. And then the US, the school year goes from August until May. Obviously, the exact dates are going to change because it's very different if you're working in Arizona or New Mexico, or if you're working in Alaska or Hawaii. So each state might have a slightly, each state might have slightly different dates. But you must be available to travel in August. And it's very, very important that when you have an interview that you ask and you say, you know, when do I have to be there? You mean, I can't go until the 10th of August. Okay, then, you know, if you can't go, then say thank you, and then you will have a second interview with somebody else. Okay, now, as far as the expenses in the United States, if you're going to be earning $45,000 or $50,000, well, how much are you going to spend on a car? Would you buy a car? You've got to pay for insurance. You've got to pay for your gasoline. Housing. Do you want to live alone? Would you like to share with somebody? Maybe there's two of you going together and you can save some money by sharing an apartment. Utilities, which is electricity or gas and water, your cell phone, your food, your clothing, travel, entertainment, well, all these different things, you know, the same things as you would have to spend here. The only thing you will find, and I will advise you, I will warn you here, is that it's a good idea if you take some money with you, because typically you might get there and say, well, in this apartment, I'd like to buy some new furniture. I'd like to buy some new appliances and different things, okay? So that's very important as well. Okay, so when you arrive, and this is the same as when you start any new job, for the first month until you get paid, of course, then you need to start, then you need some money to get started. Okay, so the documents you will have to get, absolutely have to get, are the following. Okay, so your own personal information, a nice photograph, a nice normal photograph. We don't want a photograph on the beach at a wedding, you know, running with the bulls in San Fermin in Pamplona, all right? Nothing like that. Just a nice photograph, which the school can see. You will need 2 references from administrators or directors or head teachers where you are working. And we know that that's a difficult thing to get sometimes in Spain. So you're going to, if you want to apply, you start looking now for people who will give you a letter of reference. It is not enough to say, this is my contract or this is my vida laboral. It's got to be a reference saying this is a good person, worked with us for a couple of years, is very responsible, a good attitude with children, is honest and sincere. Okay. You will need a valid passport. Your passport must be valid for at least 6 months from the final date that you're in the United States. So if you travel in August 2022, then your passport must be valid until February 2023. Very important, okay? Otherwise, they will not give you the visa. They will not give you the visa on a passport which is not going to be valid. You also have to get a criminal record check, which is the antecedentes penales, a copy of your diploma and any transcripts. So that's your degree certificate and your transcripts. So that's the certificado de notas. You can translate those yourself if you want to, absolutely fine. And then you need a certified translation of any required documents. Normally the translation, for example, if you need your degree certificate to get the accreditation or the equivalence document in the United States, normally they will accept it in Spanish and you don't need a translation. If you do need a translation, ask me first. Ask me first. So you've got 2 possibilities with translations. You can translate it yourself and I will look at it and say, that's fine, send it. Or you can say, you translate it and I will charge you for it, okay? So normally for a degree that will cost you about 20, 25 euros. For your transcript, that would cost 50, 60 euros if it's 3 or 4 pages. But ask me first, okay? Ask me first. Don't go and look for some traductor jurado who's going to charge you a lot of money and it might not be the format which you need. So first of all, you can always ask me. Okay. And again, if we look at the timeline, what we will have is on the 1st of February, the application process works. So you can fill in the information online. I will send you the link. But once you have done this, you need to upload the documents in a maximum of 2 weeks. So that's a copy of your certificate, your CV, your photograph, your letters of reference. Okay, it's got to be a maximum of 2 weeks. Otherwise, your online application will be closed. If you have any problems and you can't get all the documents, don't worry. Just make sure that you're very active. So you need to go online every time you get an email from me or from my colleague in the United States, you'll have to act as quickly as possible. Okay, because that is one of the ways that they eliminate people. If they see that somebody is inactive for 10 days or 2 weeks, they will just cancel it. Okay, you would then have an extra 30 days or 1 month to do, let's say, all that paperwork. If there were extra translations or the accreditation certificate from the United States, these things are always done online now. And if it's online, it would take 3 or 4 days. So you should have those things quite quickly. Once all that is online, on the platform, then you will have your interviews and your placement. And once your placement or your job is confirmed, then you'll get the papers to do the visa. To obtain the visa, you would have to make an appointment with the American embassy if it's in Spain, in Barcelona or Madrid. You go with your papers, which will be sent to you from the United States. You attend an interview. You pay your money, which is about 160 euros, $160, and then they give you the visa. If you don't have all the correct information or documents, they won't give you the visa. But we have experience of people getting visas, and there's a guaranteed number of visas available. That's why we're keeping it to a maximum of 40 people this year. You would then have some pre-arrival orientation, which is mandatory, which is compulsory. So that might be some exercises, some videos which you have to watch online. It might be some webinars, and it might not always be at the best time of day for you. Okay, so it might be kind of quite late in the evening at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening. And then you've got arrival. Okay, then you, together with the school, you've got your visa, and then you say, okay, I'll be arriving at Washington, DC on the 22nd of August. Each school will offer you more or less assistance. Some of them will say, yeah, we'll send somebody to pick you up at the airport. Others won't, okay? Others won't do this. So you have to make your own way. But we will help you, of course, whenever you want to do that. Okay, and once you're in the United States, then really it's the school that takes over, because you are now not working with us, you're working directly with the school, and whatever rules, whatever documents, and whatever procedures they have is what you are then going to have to do with them to make sure that everything's okay. As far as expenses go, if we look, step 1, there's no cost. Step 2, there's no cost, unless you ask for a translation. Step 3, equivalence, you would have to pay, because the equivalence is done by an American agency, and the cost is approximately $140, 140 euros. Okay, it's not something we can say, well, I'm going to wait until I get a job offer. No, if they don't see the accreditation, then they won't interview you. Okay, then with the placement and the visa, so once you have done your interview and once you have got an offer, you will have to pay for the visa, and you will have to pay for the insurance. Okay, that insurance is going to cost you about $900. So that's an important point. If you don't want to go, then really it's at step 3, step 4, where you have to say, no, thank you. Otherwise, you're going to start spending money, and it's very difficult to get that money back. Also, after step 4 is when you are going to pay the deposit, the 400 euros deposit to us. Okay, but we keep that deposit here in Spain. And as soon as we know you've been working for 6 months, then we'll send you a Bizum or to your Spanish bank account. You paid 400, you get 400. All right, we don't take anything off that. Okay, so we will try to make things as easy for you. So the easiest thing, obviously, if we can publish information and send you information next week or in 2 weeks' time, when the online process begins, then I'll do another webinar, and we'll take you through that process as well. So you know exactly what to write in each different part of the application process. And so we will do another webinar, and we will also make a video so that people can see what to do. Okay. There are very simple rules, of course. For example, if it says, what's your English level? It will say basic, intermediate, advanced. If you write basic or intermediate, they'll say, no, thank you. Okay, so you must write advanced. They will say, do you have 2 years teaching experience? If you say no, then they're automatically eliminated. Okay, if you say yes, then you go to the next step. And then you have your orientation here, which we are really doing starting today. And then also the orientation, which will happen when you arrive in the United States. You'll also have housing assistance. Some schools will offer you cheap housing. Some won't. Some will just say, well, you know, we've spoken to the teachers and this person has a spare room in their house if you would like to stay with them, and they will charge you $200, $300, $400. Okay, so that is variable. Banking assistance, obviously to help you open a bank account, but to be honest, once you've got a visa, you can open an online bank account and it's not so difficult. We will advise you about the health and travel insurance. So that means you will have your basic insurance, which you are going to pay for, which is about $900 a year. But if you wanted extra insurance, then we would help you find the best policy. Okay, so typically, you know, there are just different kinds of insurance with more coverage and more features. We'll also help you get that US teaching license. So depending on the state, then you have to do an exam, or in some cases, it's an interview with the school authority. Okay, then they might ask you, you know, all right, then, you know, are you a Christian? You know, so, well, yes, no, I don't know, what should I say here? You know, or would they say, you know, do you approve of, you know, have you ever been a communist? You know, my advice is to say, no, not me. You know, maybe you voted for Podemos once, but, you know, they don't have to really know this. All right. So it's not going to affect you. They also want to know if you have got any prejudices. Would you have any? This is not, and this is really important. We have applicants from all over the world. And so we might have some applicants from, you know, a very, very devout Orthodox Christian background who would find it difficult to work with Muslims. But actually, I think that we are in a very multicultural society here in Spain, so this wouldn't be a problem. Okay. Right, and obviously you will get professional developments. That means that you will be able to get, to some extent, extra qualifications to work in the future, so that you might have courses which are offered to you about online or computer assisted, okay, learning or any other new teaching techniques. And then, of course, you've got a 24-hour emergency helpline in case you have any problems. And this is not optional. This is something which our organization is obliged to offer you. Okay, right. If we go back very quickly, back here, step 1, 2, and 3. But within step 1, 2, and 3, you will have an initial interview with somebody from the United States by Zoom or Skype or one of these things, okay? And they will tell you very, very clearly if you are not able, okay? Right. That they will not be able, sorry, that they will tell you if you can or if you can't apply to the program. Okay. Right. So I'm just going to leave you this for a moment. Okay. I'm just going to leave you this for a moment. 1 second. I'm just going to turn off. These are typical questions which people ask us. So I will be back with you in 30 seconds. Okay. Just read through, and then if you've got any questions about this. So I'll be back in 30 seconds. Please excuse that little interruption. Okay, then. So here are some, here's a little bit of information to clarify things in Spanish. Wow, it's in Spanish. All right, then. So, ¿es un contrato de prácticas? No, it's a real work contract, okay, which is the same as the people at the center, at the school you're going to work in, but the difference is yours is linked to a J1 visa, which means that if you go there, you have to stay in that same place, okay, for the duration of that visa. In the second year, you could change. It would be possible to change. In that case, you would probably look for the job yourself, because I'd like to go and live in Chicago or Milwaukee or wherever there's places that you'd like to live. You would explain your situation to the school, and they would understand that they would have to pay an extra amount for the second year's visa to renew it. Okay, where are most of the schools? Most of our schools are in the southeast and south. So that really goes from California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. We don't really have in Seattle, Boston, New York, Chicago, in those places in the north and east. Okay, so the most of ours are in the south and east. Must you have medical insurance? You most definitely must have medical insurance. Okay, you would not be able to travel. That's the same with all the J1 visa programs. And when should I begin my application? Right now, 1st of February, okay? On the 1st of February, so that you can begin in August. And these are the possible expenses which you would have, which would be the official documents and a possible translation service if you want. That's an approximate figure, 140 euros, okay? Approximately. You then have your visa, which is approximately $160, your medical insurance, your fianza, okay, your deposit, and then your flight to the United States. And again, that depends where you're going. It's a lot more expensive to go to Hawaii instead of going to, you know, Miami, all right? So those are some of the things. And we have some questions here from you, just a couple. Okay. So I'm Mexican with legal residence in Spain. Can I still apply? I think in this case, you would have to apply online, and then we would have to see from the person who does the initial interview with you. It's quite difficult because normally a visa can only be given by the embassy of a country in the country of your nationality. Okay, so that's a little bit more difficult, I understand. Kelly says, only if you're married. I mean, it's not easy if you're just a partner. So well, it depends, because it could be a civil union, which is the pareja de hecho, and then we would have to see what they say. Really, we'd have to see what they say. Again, that's one of the legal points of the program. You could get married. You could get married, you know, you could invite us all with, you know, you got guests, we'd be happy to go. We haven't been to a wedding for a while. Okay, but we would have to see that and see what kind of partner it is, you know. And I'm not joking that some states recognize same-sex marriages or unions, and others, I believe that some others don't. Okay, Carolina, your law degree is from another country. Well, let's see what they say. Okay. And if you have it from the Escuela de Idiomas, your degree, if you have a degree from the Escuela de Idiomas or your experience, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, and what are the requirements to teach Spanish? Well, to have a university degree and that Spanish must be your mother tongue, all right? So they will not accept people who are teachers of second languages. So if you are Spanish, but you're teaching French in Spain, then you wouldn't normally be able to teach French in the United States. Okay. That is specific to English, Chinese, and Spanish, all right? So if you're English, you can speak, if you're English, if you want to teach English, you should be a native English speaker. If you want to teach Chinese, you should be a native Chinese speaker. And if you want to teach Spanish, you should be a native Spanish speaker. But there's no mention of some other languages like German or French. Okay. And yes, when we're talking about your seguro médico, yes, they are going to ask you to pay for that insurance beforehand. Okay, so you will have to pay for that before you leave. Right. And that is your health insurance. Yeah, your seguro médico. All right, that covers you whilst you're there. And that is the minimum that you need. Okay, there are different types. So some travel insurance might also offer you the possibility that if you go to the United States and you cannot stay the full year and you have to come back, some insurance policies would refund the money that you've paid for your flights and other things. But that's optional. That's not something which is in the insurance policy that we offer. Okay. Wow. Okay. Rebecca's already there. Is there a chance of getting in there? Well, let's try. Let's try, Rebecca. Let's see what we can do. Okay. If you're based in another country and not Spain, you would have to apply for the visa in Spain, I believe. Okay. So I don't think that the American embassy in maybe within the European Union, yeah. But if you were living, for example, in India, I don't think that the American embassy in India would give a Spanish person a visa. Right. So that's it at the moment. That is it. I will be sending you more reminders. I will send you, first of all, I will send everybody a link to this. I'm going to put your names also onto a database, a list, and I will send you updates, what's happening in the program. And just so you've got an idea for yourself or anybody else with you, apart from the J1 visa program to teach, we've also got on with the same kind of visa, an au pair program. That's, you don't need a university degree to be an au pair. We've also got the summer camp program, which is up to a maximum of 4 months, which is working on a summer camp. It also requires a visa, so it's very similar, but that's if you just want a shorter stay. And then also we've got our courses and we've got volunteer programs. So if you wanted to go to Australia or New Zealand or somewhere like that, then that's another possibility. So I will say, take a note of, please take a note of my email address. And if you have any questions, please contact me. Okay. And then, as I say, I will be in contact with you once the application process opens with more information again.
Thank you.
All right. So
Okay.
the sun's going down in San Francisco, so I better go and, you know, I'll go and see Alcatraz or some other fantastic place.
Sure.
All right. And that is our program. So please, you know, any questions, anything else you need to know, let me know. But, you know, it's a lovely program, excellent program. We have just had, just this month, you know, our first American coming over from the United States, our first New Zealander coming over from New Zealand, somebody from the United Kingdom, 2 people from Canada, somebody's coming from Zimbabwe next month. So we're really excited that people are able to travel again. We've also got some Germans here.
Yes.
So, you know, things are moving. That's great news. Okay. Carolina says, I've taught Spanish at a language academy or summer camps. Well, you would have to demonstrate that is acceptable experience. Okay.
Right.
All right. So first of all, I think, you know, I'll ask you in a couple of weeks, I'll ask you for your CV. And once I've looked at your CV, I said, now go online and apply, okay, and register. But I'll be very honest, if I don't think there's a possibility, I will tell you.
Yeah, because I've thought.
Lovely. Thank you, Josh.
Okay. Thank you. Well, nice to see you all. And I'll
Nice to
probably
see you.
do
Thank
this
you very
again.
much.
Nice to see you too.
It was
Okay.
great. It was a great experience, and I appreciate it very much your time. Taking your
Okay.
time.
Well, come again soon. Okay. Come
Thank
again.
you.
Hopefully.
All right. Bye now.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.